A very good morning to all of you. Welcome you all to this today's second session of day one, part one. So in this case, in this particular session we are going to learn about the basics of how the R functions. R can work like simple calculators. It can do additions, subtractions. But before learning to do a data analysis using R, we need to first understand the building blocks of R, the objects, the functions, the data types, and the other data frame. So these are the some basic building blocks of R which we should learn first before we move on to data analysis. So today we'll having this session in our R where we'll come down to know what is an object and how is it created, what are the different functions and the data types which are available in R. So let us first go back to our R Studio and then start off with the object part of it. So what are objects? The objects are named data structures that store the data which has been created by you. Using the object name, you can call the data stored in the data objects. Thus, the data object name can be a single digit, it can be a single character, a whole sentence, or even a data frame. So let's just go ahead and create few objects first, right? So let me say that object creation. So now if you notice, I have used an hash before writing, which means that I have just now returned a non-executable code and that R will not process it, and this is basically a comment. So comments are basically, as we have discussed, are helping text in your R program, and they are ignored by the interpreter while executing your actual program. So the single comment is written using a hash in the beginning of a statement, similar to what we have written it just now, right? And let us create an object bag which carries a value, say 9, and click enter, right? So we have just created an object bag, assigned it a value of 9, and hence it is getting saved here in the environment having a numerical value of 9. Now let us create another object ball which is 2 times the bag. So we are going to create ball which is 2 times bag, right? So we have created a function ball which is 2 times the bag. Now if you look at this environment, ball is now saved as an object which has a numerical value of 18. So it is not getting saved as bag, but it is, since bag has already been assigned and given a numerical value of 9. So now ball is taking that calculation as 9 into 2, which is 18. So now let's print the object and see the result. So let me print bag and enter. So now bag has been stored with a value of 9. So this entire console, when you are using, anytime you recall this bag or ball, it will take the numerical value of 9 and 18. So let us print ball as well. So print ball, right? So ball has a value of 19. Sometimes your objects can also take a multiple values. So let me create cat as an object which can take values from 10 to 20, right? And now I want to create dog which is 2 times cat, right? So now I have created dog which is 2 times the cat. So now let us see So you can see that dog has been created over here, and it is twice the values of the cat value. So let us print dog and see. So print dog. So now you can see all the values. The only thing that you have to remember when naming the objects is that you can only use the letters A to Z, numbers 0 to 9, a dot and an underscore. An object name will always begin with a small letter. The longer names that you have, so you can separate it either using a dot, a underscore, or you might as well use the new word with a capital letter. Suppose I want to create a object my bag. So in this case I can either create it by using my, and bag, to differentiate I have made that let B as capital. I can also create it as my dot bag. I can also create it as my underscore bag. So your dot, underscore or capital letters can be used if you are using a longer name and you want to differentiate between the different words. Right? Now let us start creating an object in R. So we'll go as a step-by-step process to understand how your R works. Right? So now we want to create a vector which is storing a sequence from 21 to 30. So let's create a vector A which stores values from 21 to 30. Right? Now I want to add 4 to this particular value and save it as a separate variable. So let me create B, which is equal to A plus 4. Right? Now I want to multiply this variable with 5 and save it in a new variable C. So I write it as C, right, minus less than minus, and I say that this is B into 5. B into 5. Right? And now I want to subtract 6 from C and divide the result by 3. And I want to put that into a new variable D. So D is equal to or less than minus C minus 6 divided by 3. So I want to subtract 6 from C and then divide the result by 3. Right? And then the C minus 6 can also be given in brackets so that this function is performed first and then divided by 3. Right? So this is the final variable that we have done. So let us print D. So now these are the answers which you have got. So first, like if I take the first number 21, so 21 plus 4 is 25. So 25 multiplied by 5 is 125, and then 125 minus 6 is 119 divided by 3 is 39.667. Now we have done a step-by-step process. Now let us see what happens if we put the entire operation in a single code. So that means when A is created, with A we add 4, then multiply it by 5, then subtract it by 6, and then divide it by 3. So let us put that into a new variable answer. Right? So I have created a new variable answer less than minus. So A plus 4 multiplied by 5, subtract 6 and divide by 3, and just click enter. And now let me print answer. right? So now you get the values 39, 40, 41, even though we have done the same operation, but the answers from both the particular things are different. Now why do you do, or why does this particular thing happen? It is because R will always follow a particular specific order. So if you rightly remember something called as a BODMAS rule, so R also follows those particular order of operations, whereby any exponents or the roots are carried out first, followed by division, multiplication, addition, and then subtraction. So what happens when you pass it out as a single command? So it is first doing the division, so that is 6 minus 3, 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. Then it is doing the multiplication, that is 4 into 5 is 20. Then it is adding, so that is 20 plus a, that is 21 is 41. And then it is doing subtraction, 41 minus 2 is 39. Right, so it is following the BODMAS rule, and the R continues to do the operations in the same specific order. Now if we want to print the result which should be equivalent to what we got in the previous step, so what we got in D, we want the same kind of results to be printed. So in that case what we need to do is, it has to be first that you have is carry out. So let's go step by step as to how you can do this particular thing. So in that same variable, answer less than minus, right? So you first want to carry out a plus 4, right? So what actions or the order in which it should go, so you should put those particular in or the order of priority using the parenthesis bracket. With this particular result you multiply 5. So this is our second objective or the second operation which you have to do. So first a has to be added to 4. In the next step, with that particular value you have to multiply 5, and with that particular value you have to minus 6, and with that particular result you have to divide by 3, right? So now R will process as according to the start and end of the bracket. So let us just now print answer and see our result. Print answer, enter. Now you get the same result as you got last time. So this parenthesis and the way in which you are representing your data makes a lot of difference to the kind of outputs you are getting. So it's very important to take care of the rules and the operations which get carried out. So in this case it is very important to pay attention to how you are giving the input to the R. So the way the input is given, similar fashion you are going to see your output as well. Now if you all know that while doing any programming language, you need to use various variables which need to store a lot of information. So variables are nothing but a reserved memory location to store your values. So for a correct processing, a programming language must know what can and cannot be done to a particular value. And that is the reason it is important to understand your data types available in R. So next, before coming down to this R console and working on data types, we'll just see a small presentation on what are the different types of data that is there in R and how do we write those particular data and the syntax, and again come back to RStudio and work on the different data types. Right? So data types and variables. So as we have already seen that for correct processing a programming language, one must know what can and cannot be done to a particular value. For example, you cannot perform an addition on the words hello and world because they are characters, they are not numbers. Similarly, you cannot change the numbers 1 or minus 34.5 or 10 from a lowercase to an uppercase, because that can be done with characters and not with numbers. Due to this, R has a feature called the data types. Different kinds of values are assigned different data types that help to differentiate them. These types have certain characteristics and rules associated with them that define their properties. So let us first understand the concepts in the PPT, right? So R provides a class and type of functions to find out what is the class and the type of variable it has, right? R has 5 types of data. So they are numeric data, integers, complex, logical and characters. So any variable which you have constructed, so if you want to find out what is the type of data it is, so we make use of the function type of. So you just have to enter type of. So I create a variable a which is combining 10, 11, 12, 13. And if I have to know what is the type of data, so I just write type of a and enter. So then that gives me the new data type in which that variable has been stored. So let us go one by one. The first is the numeric data type. The numeric data type is for all numeric values. It is the default data type for the numbers in R. So any kind of numbers, by default it is assumed as a numeric data type. So examples of your numeric data type can have whole numbers, can have decimals, can be positive, can be negative. So all of these values which are numeric in nature and are having all of these features come under your numeric data type. The next that you have is the integer data type. The integer data type is used for integer values, that is to store a value as an integer. It is important that we specify it as such. So it is unique in nature, it cannot have decimals, right, and it is commonly used for discrete values only. So it will not have the plus or the minus sign or the decimals. Now a numeric data type can also be converted to an integer data type by using the function as dot integer, right. So if there is a particular data type and you see the type of as a numeric data and you want to convert it into an integer data type, so in that case you can make use of as dot integer and write the variable name and click enter. So you can convert a numeric data type into a integer data type. And the third, this is very rarely used in R, the complex data type. It is used to store numbers with an imaginary component. For example, 1 plus 2i, minus 12 plus 6i. So these are the examples of your complex data type. The next that you have is a logical data type. A logical data type can store Boolean values of either true or false. So it is a logical data type which will return either as true or false, or you can write it as T or F. Now here I want to bring it to your notice that R is very case sensitive. So as I have told you in the earlier session as well, so when you are making use of this value as true or false, it is compulsory that it is in capital letters. The small letter or small caps true and false are not considered as your logical data type. So whenever you are making use of true or false, T or F, they have to be written in capital letters only, right? The next that you have is the character data type. So character data type stores character values or strings. The strings in R can contain either the alphabets, the numbers or the symbols. So the easiest way to denote the value of character type in R is to write it with single or double inverted commas. So anything which is represented in double inverted commas, that means it is referring to a character data type. Vector and list, again two most important building blocks of R. A vector is a sequence of data elements that are of same type. So that means if I am creating a vector A having numbers 11 to 20, it can only store numbers. I cannot have two different data elements of two different data types in the same vector. So a vector is always a sequence of data elements that are of same type only, right? So when you want to create a vector with more than one element, as we have already seen, we should use a combine function. So combine function, we use C, and in the parenthesis we write all those things which we want to combine it together. So this is called as a combine function. So a vector will always have the same type of data, and to club multiple variables together or multiple values together, we make use of this C function. The next that you have is your list. So a list is an R object which can contain many different types of elements like inside it. So it can have vectors within itself, it can have functions within itself, it can have a list within itself. So it can have any different types of data that we have seen till date. So all of these are possible when you are creating. So list is basically multiple vectors connected together or combined together, right? So these are some of the building blocks of R that we have seen, and now we will be moving back to the R console to work on the data types on R. So let us go back to the R console. Right, so the first one is your numeric data type. So I'm just adding a comment, it's a numeric data type. So let's create a variable number less than minus. This is the most commonly used way of assignment. You can of course use the equal to sign as well. So let us assign this a number 5. Right, so now we want to see what is the class and what is the type of this particular variable. So we need to write class of num, right? So the class is, it is numeric in nature, right? So as we have seen, by default the data type is taken to be as numeric. Now let us see what result we get when we write type of. Right, so type of the variable name is num, and let us click enter. So if you look at the output of type of, it says double. Now what does that mean? When R stores a number in a variable, it converts the number into a double value, or we can say a decimal type with at least 2 decimal places. This means that this value as 1 is stored as 1.00 with a type of double, right? So that is most of the time when you are using numeric, since there is an option that with decimal is also a numeric data type. So the number gets saved as 1.00, and that is the reason that when you are seeing this type of num, so you get the answer as double. Now in this case, let us go to the integer data type, right? The next that you have is your integer data type. Now if you just pass it as a number, it will always take it to be as numeric. So as we had already seen that if you want to say that it is an integer data type, you have to specify that this particular value should be treated as an integer. Now what can we do? So let us say I create another value num1 less than minus symbol as dot integer, and I give num, right? Or I can write a particular value, say 10. So I want to assign 10 to this num1, and I want it to treat it as an integer and not as a numerical. Now let us see what happens when we see the class of num1, right? So now if you see, the result has become integer instead of numeric. Now let us see what is type of num1, right? So now it is not double, it is integer. So it is a discrete value which gets saved, right? The same thing what has been in the numeric can also be converted into an integer. So let me say I want num1 less than minus as dot integer, and I use the value num which was created earlier, and I put enter. Now let us see what does the class of num1 show. Now see, it has become a integer. In this case, a lot of time for an integer we also use capital L to show that it is a integer type data. So in this case I can say num2. So that is, if you don't want to use the function as dot integer, so the other option is to write capital L along with the numbers. So if suppose I write here 7 and capital L, right? So I have not used as dot integer function, I have just written 7 and L. Enter. Right, now let us see what is the class of num2, right? So you find that the class is integer. Now let us see what is type of num2, integer, right? So in this case, if you don't want to make use of as dot integer function, so in the other way of writing it is to write the number along with a capital L. So in that case it will be treated as an integer and not as a numeric data type. The next that we have is your complex. So this is very less used in R. So complex data type. So a complex data type is always written with an imaginary component, so that is 22 plus 6i, and enter. So now I want to see the class of A, right? So you get the answer as complex. What is type of A? Again complex, right? Now next let us go to the logical data type. Right, the next data type that you have is a logical data type, right? So let me create L and let me say false, right? So it has by default taken it in caps. So if you are not writing it in capital letter, you will have to then put it in double quotes so that it becomes a character data type. Let us see the class of L, logical. Let us see the type of L, again logical, right? So the logical statements true or false has to be always written in capital letters. The next is character, right? So next that we move on to is your character data type, right? So character data types are always written in double quotes. So let me write research and enter. So let us see the class of C, character, type of C, again character, right? Now in this case, if you want to use a function to be stored in that particular character data type only. Now if suppose I want to store this false as a character and not as a logical data type. So in that case I will say that your C is as dot character, and I write here false. Sorry, I forgot to put it in double quotes. as dot character false. Now let us see what is the class of C now. It has become character. So if I want to use the word false not for a logical data type but as a character data type, so in that case I can make use of as dot character. So in that case it will take false as a character and not as a logical data type. Now let's come down to your vectors. So vectors are basically a group of elements or a single element, and they have to be all of the same data type, right? So now next step is we are going to create a vector, right? So let's create a vector apple. So as we are having multiple values, so we have to combine them. So C and apple can be either red, green, or yellow. So I have created a vector apple. Now if you see, all the three of them are character data type only. So I cannot have multiple data type. Now let us say that I have taken, instead of yellow, I write 5. So 2 of them are character, 1 is numeric. Now let us print apple. Now if you see, 5 is with a double quotes, that is, it has converted that into a character and it is not a numeric value, right? So if suppose I want to see the class, so I want to see what is the class of apple. So you find that the class of apple is a character. So a vector will always store data which are of same type only. So it cannot store two different types of data types. So this has certain rules which will be of course covering it in our next session. They are called as cohesion rules. So we'll be of course practicing it in our next session. And today's last topic that we have is create a list, right? So a list can consist of different data types, different combinations and all the other things. So let us create L as a list. I think I've used L in the logical, so let me create, we are creating a list, so let me write it as list less than minus. So I use the function list. So all of these will be listed together. So let me say, I say take some numbers 2, 5 and 3, right? So these 2, 5, 3 are my numeric values. Let me again take a decimal value. Let me take a logical value. I can also take a character. Right? So I have taken numbers, I have taken decimal values, I have taken logical values, I have taken character, and I print enter. Now let us say, what do we see when we print this list? So you see 4 different types of data. So these are retained as numbers, as numerics, as logical and as character, right? So in this case we can combine different vectors together to form a particular list. Now before we just sign off for today, I'll give you a small exercise which you will have to practice after going through these particular things and discuss our result, or you have to just see what is the result which you get after you enter those particular values. So let me just give you that small practice that you have to do. Right, so this is a small exercise which you have to do. You just have to create a vector So A will combine A for apple, axe, ant and alligator. So you have to create a vector A which is combined with all these 4 words, and then you have to create another vector N which will have an NA value to it. So that is not applicable, not required value. So 50, 10, NA, 2000, 4000. So you have to create another vector N. Then you have to combine these together to create a list. So L is a combination of A and N. Now for each of the 3 variables or vectors that you have created, so just go and check what is the type of A, what is the type of N and what is the type of L. Now just waiting to see what results you are getting. So we will discuss those particular results, the reasons for those particular results in our next session. And till then, I wish you all a very, very happy coding.